In today's video, I will show you the easiest way to make your kick sound more rumble. We will create a distorted and atmospheric background for the kick drum, which we will improve right now. We will start with fixing a few minor mistakes, which will give us a better kick sound without adding any extra sounds. This high synth channel is one of the few layers which make up the kick sound. We will do three things to make this synthesizer fit the kick drum better. The first one will be decreasing the cutoff frequency for the high pass filter. I will add more mid frequencies to the synthesizer. I want to add more air to the sound, meaning that I want to boost some very high frequencies. We will work with the frequency regions higher than 10K. This is a bell filter I have adjusted to make the synthesizer brighter. The last adjustment relates to the sidechain we have created by a manual volume automation inside of Utility. In the first part of the tutorial I have adjusted this volume automation so the sound through the majority of the beat is muted. On the bottom you can see an improved curve where I let the sound be played during the whole beat. This will make the synthesizer be more present. The most important part of this kick drum is a rumble bass. I have created that bass using a classic reverb technique. Later in the equalization process I have cut out frequencies from around 100 Hz which give you that warmth and rumble. Unfortunately, we have cut them out way too much. In the improved equalization curve, I made sure to get back some of the rumble by using less attenuation on these frequencies. On top of that, with this utility, I have created another volume automation for this reverb bass to create a sidechain effect. A similar EQ mistake was made in the second kick sample. Instead of cutting that frequency which makes the kick drum sound more full and round, we will boost it. We will also EQ better the distorted kick drum. With this single bell filter I will make this distorted kick drum sound more bright and alive. These would be all the changes I made to the old sounds. Now we will move on to creating new sounds to make the kick drum sound more interesting. But before that I have to get you through one extra boring part of this video. This part is the most boring one. As you see, I make tutorials like that, detailed sound design tutorials, every second Sunday. If you don't want to miss such videos where I recreate tracks made by professional producers, subscribe to my channel. If you want to learn music production on a professional level fast, contact me for private music production lessons. If you want to learn on your own, you can download numerous recreation projects from my Patreon page. We will start with creating that atmospheric and distorted background for the kick drum, and for that I will use only a single shaker sound. I want to have a sample which is rather thin and already muffled. Shakers which are too bright will not pass the selection, and shakers which sound a bit too much like a hi-hat will get rejected too. But this one is a perfect candidate. I will write now a simple groove. For each beat I have two MIDI notes, from which the first one has a lower velocity than the second one. It means that the first shaker is going to be played quieter, which will create an interesting groove. If I have a fixed velocity for all MIDI notes, I would have a much more boring rhythm. We will transpose this shaker down. After that, I want to fry this sample and add more crackle to that. For this, I will use the dynamic tube, which is known for making the vocals more warm, but with extreme settings, it can also give you an interesting texture to any sound. But this is only going to happen once you drive this sound loud enough. You see that small meter? Distortion is going to take place once the volume of the sample crosses the gray line. Let's start driving the sample with the drive control. And something has gone wrong. The shaker was too quiet right from the beginning. That is why 15 decibels of dry was not enough to create any distortion. That is why I had to put an utility which adds another 34 decibels of gain. So you might now guess that if I didn't use a second utility which attenuates the output, things could get very loud and annoying. A volume compensation is something which you should not neglect. Besides protecting your hearing, you will also be able to judge better whether some plugin is doing a good job or wrong. We want to drive the signal very high to get lots of dirt coming from this simple effect. Now when we have lots of gain added, we can fine-tune the sound of the dynamic tube. We can start it off by picking an appropriate tube model. Another important control is the tone knob, which tells the amount of high frequencies present in the sound. I want to have the sound muffled, that is why I will turn this down completely. After the dynamic tube, I will add the Redux Beat Crusher effect. It is known for introducing two different textures for the sound. The first one is associated again with noise and crackle. We control this texture with the Bits knob. Now I will add the second kind of a texture, which is very characteristic. We will start downsampling this shaker with the rate knob. The downsampling we have just applied sounds very interesting, but unfortunately a bit too digital. We would like to blur this somehow, and what could be the best way to blur it than by adding another distortion? A perfect thing will be the erosion effect. When we work with noise or white noise mode, we are going to add a filtered white noise to the sample. On the top, there is a filter section. It is a bandpass filter. At first, I will crank the amount to a very high number, so we add lots of this noise. Then it will be much easier to set these remaining filter parameters. The center frequency tells the frequency range we will be adding to the shaker sound, and the width controls the bandwidth. It means how much frequencies around the cutoff frequencies are going to be added. It's time for, again, some equalization, but now we will do this in a different way. Instead of equalizing in solo, which is generally wrong, we will add the kick drum and equalize this shaker and the context of the kick drum, because after all, what matters most is what do all the instruments in your track sound like when they are played together. This shaker is too bright, which means that we have too much of the air inside. At first I will use a low pass filter. We got rid of the air, but I still want to have this shaker sound bright. That is why I have to use another filter. This will be a Bell filter, which will compensate in some way this high-end reducement. This shaker is way too loud in relation to the kick drum. That is why at first I will use a utility with lots of negative gain, and after that, or before the utility, I will add the dynamic tube again to fry the sound. Now I shall spoil you the secret of making that low end much more groovy in an easy way. Do you remember that distorted kick sound? We want to export that. For this exported kick drum I will draw another rhythm in the same MIDI clip. But first I will trim this sample to make it much shorter. But the most important thing will be done inside an equalizer again. We will filter out unnecessary stuff. I will start off with getting rid of the low end because I already have all the low end in the rumble bass. The second filter will be a low pass filter. After I have cut out everything with these two filters, now it's time to use the volume knob. We will add more attack to the main kick sound by layering it with this small hi-hat sample. That's everything. Take a light hi-hat sample, shorten it and drop the volume by a lot. A few samples playing together don't make the interesting background yet. It's going to change once I add a reverb to all these sounds, but I will do it inside of an audio effect track. The benefit of this is that now I can process independently the dry signal and the reverb one. Surprisingly, even the initial settings work very well. Besides changing the dry wet value to 100%, I also reduced the stereo width with the stereo control. I want to enhance the groove even more, that is why I will sidechain the reverb. I will use again a utility for that. At first I will slightly crank up the volume of this reverb and after that engage the sidechain. Let's listen to the whole beat with and without reverb. This is everything for today's tutorial and as always, thanks for watching, see you next time.